biggest station in the world, playing all of today's hits. You're listening to Instinct Radio.
Good afternoon and welcome to Real Talk Radio. They are trying to turn me against Mountain Dew again. Can you believe it? They're telling me it's all kinds of bad, sugary, crazy stuff in there now.
I mean,
I'm gonna sweat. I can't have my
I think he's the only one who did not know this.
What is we gonna do?
I think the whole world knows it's about Mountain Dew except for you.
Does it?
Yeah.
So everybody knows Mountain Dew is bad. I'm telling you, I did not know for real.
Really?
So I haven't watched Black Panther. I didn't know Mountain Dew was bad.
So,
What is? And I've never heard the Miguel, whatever his Square song.
did you say
What's the name of the song?
Skywalker?
Skywalker. I've never heard the Skywalker song. So hey,
But the Mountain Dew one.
yeah, I don't know. It was. I just knew it had sugar in it, and I probably shouldn't drink it.
When you drink Mountain Dew, it's like burn your throat.
Oh, no.
In the process.
It gives me. It's like it gives me more than wings. Like Red Bull gives you wings. it's like I'm good for the whole day. I'm like whoopoo.
54 grams of
You don't
sugar.
say, right?
Wow. Yeah.
12-ounce can.
How many grams?
54.
Is that bad?
Yes.
I thought the grams of sugar was bad if you did not like work out or something, which I don't do, but I'm just saying.
Sugar.
I can look like I work out real good. Like I can go to the gym and just like walk around like I'm work out real good.
This is a moment. You're gonna have a moment, break-in moment,
Syrup and caffeine.
break-in moment.
Yeah, now I do know it's caffeine, and I'm probably not supposed to have caffeine because my doctor told me one time no spicy foods, no caffeine, no alcohol. I think he said not a lot of alcohol, but he might have said no alcohol.
No Mountain Dew.
No Mountain Dew. Okay.
I can't. I'm not supposed to have two of those things on that list myself.
Yeah. See.
It's easier said than done.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm still doing good. I'm 2 months in, and I've probably had, I'll say 3 to 5 Mountain Dews all year.
Okay.
And I probably have 3 to 5 Mountain Dews a day. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's been for like 45 years. So I'm undoing it.
That's good. I'm proud of you.
Y'all
I'm
got
clap
me
that up.
scared. Y'all got me scared.
Yeah.
It's in a green bottle, though. I thought it was like environmentally safe and healthy,
Put
like
it-
the spinach.
Maybe, but what's in it is not.
Put a picture up of rotten teeth. That ought to do it for you right
yeah.
there.
Oh, wow.
No, think about the C word. That'll keep you from
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't mess with that.
Yeah. Rotten. Rotten teeth. That'll do it for me right
But
there.
I know people.
Oh.
Thank you for tuning in to Real Talk Radio.
Because I've been drinking 54 grams of sugar 5 times
Just
a day.
washing my teeth in sugar.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
So,
for a 12-ounce can. That's not for.
Oh yeah, I
16
did the
to
bottle.
24.
Yeah, I did
Wow.
that. Yeah.
so we have Linda.
Yes.
Yes.
Linda
Hey,
is here. I
Linda.
don't know how we started talking about Mountain Dew, but Linda is here.
Linda's pretty awesome already.
A CPLC.
Okay, tell us about that, Linda.
Certified professional life coach.
I like that. She put that professional in
Yes.
there. That's important.
Bam.
Professional.
Certified
Professional
life
life
coach.
coach.
Like this ain't nothing to play with.
Yes. Yes. And there's such a there's such a need for that in our country.
Yes.
People have challenges, and a lot of times those challenges aren't really always therapeutic types of challenges. Sometimes you just need somebody in your ear, some accountability partners,
Exactly.
someone that's going to be that mindset coach
Yep.
to help you through and get past some roadblocks in life. We're super excited to have you here to talk more about that. And also, I won't even let the cat out the bag because she has an amazing testimony.
I know.
That's why I got my book up here.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just
I'm
going to hold
telling
it by my heart
You'll
so I
be
can write down
pumped
this
up.
amazing testimony
Yes.
from Linda. Getting pumped.
I know.
What? Your ring hurt my
Did it?
hand.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh my God, am I bleeding?
It's a crown. I'm a king. I'm a king. I'm gonna figure out. You remember the four-finger
Do this
rings?
hand next time.
Okay, I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna get a four-finger ring next show. It's gonna be all. It's gonna spell something like Pookie or Bebe or something, because you got to represent. That was a Mountain Dew outburst.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're gonna take that. It's not gonna say Pookie or Bebe.
We will forgive you for that.
Yeah.
It's gonna say Wakanda Forever
When you see the movie.
after I see the movie.
I'm not gonna say anything. I'm plead the fifth on that.
Do we want to? I don't even know how to introduce your testimony.
Well,
We just
I know.
you
I
want to
know.
introduce that testimony.
See, I was
and
kind of like Facebook stalking, LinkedIn stalking, stuff like that. So I do know that Linda is an 18-plus year cancer survivor.
woo woo.
And I saw some photos of her like on this red carpet with a backdrop that said BET fight cancer something or another. I'm like, woo. So all kinds of stuff. I mean, I know you coach breast cancer survivors, anyone recently diagnosed, anyone going through it, like marriage, relationship type counseling. You kind of coach everything. I need you to coach the Falcons up when they get to the playoffs next year because they let me down
I'm
this
not
year.
athletically inclined.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry. They are not either. As you can see from their performance, don't worry about it. I'm still Falcons for life, ATL for life, but I'm just saying maybe they need that positivity. See, they need that
Something
uplifting.
to unlock the beast.
I like that.
Yeah.
We should put that on a
That's
shirt.
a tweetable.
Unlock the beast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thought for today.
Unlock the beast.
Everybody's
I'm gonna start doing my push-ups again. It's time to unlock the beast.
Yeah. Some people have unlocked the beast and let it out. They need to tame the beast.
I know.
Okay?
Tame
Bring that back in.
Exactly. Put the beast back.
too much.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit.
Yes, that's exactly what I was gonna say. How did you go from diagnosis, treatment, surviving to saying, "Hey, I want to be a life coach," or is that something you were doing prior to?
No, I had a career with IBM prior to.
Really,
Yeah,
corporate America.
corporate America, and the first layoff that they had with 100,000 people worldwide. I
Wow,
got caught up in that.
Oh, wow.
So
it's
it
kind of
was
hard to miss 100,000 people in a company.
right.
Wow.
But
Wow.
After that, I left the company and just really start soul searching. You know, in the midst of all of that, I had been told I'd never have kids.
Okay.
28, I had about anywhere from 12 to 16 tumors taken off my uterus.
Wow.
So I was given that
12 to 16.
12 to 16.
Wow.
So it was a journey for me. What I thought I wanted had gone and got my degrees for. That door was shutting.
Right.
So what I found that I needed to do was do a more intimate search with God on what really my life purpose was.
Right, because obviously it wasn't your destiny
No.
wasn't connected to
No.
IBM
And
like you probably
Exactly.
initially thought.
And in going through that, God did let me know that that was His permissive will, not His divine will.
Oh wow.
So it was a wake-up call. And on that journey, He blessed me with 2 children.
Wow.
So
Something that the doctor's report said wouldn't happen.
said it never. If
Wow.
it did, they said it probably would not, the egg wouldn't attach to the wall, and the kids probably would abort automatically.
Wow.
So
Whose report are you going to believe?
Exactly.
Man's report
Exactly.
or God's report?
That's it. That's it. Whatever God says, He's a promise keeper.
Mm-hmm.
He cannot lie. I went through that journey. The kids came along 6 months after giving birth to my last child. Trying to breastfeed him and couldn't. Milk just seemed like it wouldn't come. And I thought it was engorged, but only to find out there was a tumor lying in the milk duct.
Wow.
So I went to the doctor. I had had an annual about 10 months prior. And when I went, got the news. It was evasive ductal carcinoma.
Wow.
So that began my journey through chemotherapy. Well, first the surgery, and I was blessed that they got all of the tumor.
Okay.
Right.
And after that, we went on to do the chemotherapy and the radiation. And after going through that, I mean, that in itself is a very life-changing
Right.
event.
Painful.
Your body want to do one thing, but
Right.
the will just is not there.
Right.
But we got through that, and I just began to just want burning desire to do something that I
Right.
could make a difference.
Right. Something
with.
fulfilling.
Yeah, something that I could know that I've touched somebody's life in a positive way.
Right.
To do something that no one had ever done, and on that journey, God revealed life coaching.
Okay.
And I went back to friends and asked, hey,
Mm-hmm.
how do you think I fit with that? And only to find out I had been doing it all along.
Oh, wow.
People have been coming to me, talking to me. We pray together. We do everything together. I try to give them a spiritual, outlook on whatever they were going through. So it just seemed right when I start pursuing it. It wasn't any effort put to it.
Oh,
It
wow.
was
Right.
like you putting on your shoes and it's a perfect fit.
Right.
And then when I started getting clients that would come in and talk about either issues of divorce or issues of breast cancer, and I found when I was going through it, once you hear the C word, you have a tendency to look at finality.
Right.
Right.
And it's not the end.
Right.
I don't care if the doctors say you've got 2 weeks to 2 years. Life happens, but life can continue.
Yes.
Right.
And it's crucial that at the onset of that diagnosis, you put a plan into action.
Right.
A plan that will give you back your dreams, your goals, and not make it a roadblock of giving up and feeling like, why me?
Right.
Right.
That's the time to really get in and begin the fight of your life.
Right.
And that's where I come in, trying to unleash those roadblocks, changing the mindset that you can do and be whatever you set your mind to be.
Right.
It's not a death sentence.
Right.
I celebrated 19 years on the 8th of this month.
Wow.
And I remember when I was diagnosed, my prayer was, God, show me somebody right now that has longevity from this.
Right.
And he allowed me to have a 39-year survivor mentor.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So God can do anything if we give him the opportunity.
Right. And I think that's so powerful that your prayer was not to just get rid of it. It's look, show me some longevity. Show me someone who has longevity, who has life after
Exactly.
the breast cancer surgery, the diagnosis, the treatments, and all of that stuff. Because I know for men, especially in the black community, I know for men, there's this huge misconception that if you have a life coach, if you have a therapist, if you have a counselor, if you have a mentor, most men, not all men, that there's something wrong with you.
Exactly.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with bouncing your ideas off of someone, having someone to help you navigate through this thing called life so you don't make the same mistakes they made. Or if you find yourself in that situation, you know someone who's made it through and they're already on the other side. So again, it's not a death sentence, as you've already stated.
No, and the difference that I think we as Black America have to remember, there's a difference between a psychologist and a coach.
Right.
A coach is to help you with what you already know you need to do,
Right.
but help you get on the track to maintaining and getting to it.
Right.
Right.
I'm not here to tell you you got a problem.
Yeah.
This is how you fix it. No, you have the answers. I
It's
just help
already
you
inside you.
navigate to where you're trying to go.
And help them
And-
unlock their
Exactly.
potential.
And I think when we look at it as someone partnering with me, making me accountable
Right.
of whatever I've set my course to do, then you look at it differently.
Right.
It's not so much as, okay, I've got somebody coming in making me think that something's wrong. No. I'm the person that listens to you and put everything you say to me in a plan, and we come up with a key on getting you there.
Right.
So I just have two quick questions. Well, one is a statement. Just looking at you, I just say, you ever heard that saying, like the eyes are the windows to the soul?
Yes.
So when I'm looking at, first of all, your eyes say peace.
Thank you.
And they say I'm happy and joyous. And so that brings me to the thought about this type of work.
Okay.
In working with people, I think you have to embody certain characteristics.
Yes.
Like I say, every gift it's not the same for everyone.
No.
So just at appearance and just vibing with your energy, you are gifted to be in that role. So I salute you. You're doing good work. And my question to you, my grandmother survived cancer, but then it later took her life in her 90s. And I think about the value of someone that could have been there as a coach, working with even hospice, or even working with long-term care facilities where a lot of people, especially the elderly or even young people that are dealing with, sometimes in cases where it may be perceived as a terminal illness, but we know God is capable of doing anything.
Exactly.
So my question is, with you, with your work now, are you already connected with hospitals or veterans administrations? Have you done work and partnered with them?
You know what? That's a good question. That's what I'm working on now, because I see a need that I thought people would be more accommodating with what I do, but it's like still the taboo there.
Right.
You know, and I'm trying to change the mindset to where people can understand I'm here to help, not to hurt, and to make sure that whatever plateau you want to reach, you reach it to your fullest potential.
Right.
And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And I often tell clients when they come, if you don't have a personal relationship with God, if you're not praying, then you don't need to come to me.
Right.
Because my foundation is that.
Right.
You know, you got to pray. You got to seek God.
Right.
Because I'm not the answer. You don't have the answer.
Right.
Because if you did, you wouldn't be talking to me.
Exactly.
Right.
You
So
have it figured out by
together,
now.
when we tackle whatever the goal or dream is, as long as we keep God first and center, then we can tackle the other issues. But if that's not what you're willing to do, no, I'm not your normal life coach.
Right.
God has given me the gift. I want to be genuine in what I do, and I need you to be as genuine in that, because a lot of times you've deviated from what God has told you to do.
Knowingly.
And that is what got you in the roadblock you're in.
Right.
I can't help you fix that until you get that first love fixed.
Right.
Right.
And then once you do that, everything starts to fall in place. And oftentimes it's just really going back and getting your mindset together. Understanding that you don't control, you can't do anything that God doesn't allow you to do, but we all need to daily seek his advice, seek his direction, listen to him. You know, I've often told my clients, find quiet time.
Yes.
Every day.
Yes.
Before you start your day, find that quiet time that you can do daily devotion. You can listen to God. He can listen to you. That's where your answers come from.
Right.
Absolutely.
And without that, you know, you're just looking for a dead end street,
Right.
because it's never going to work. Anything without him is nothing. You can't do anything without that.
Absolutely.
Wow. And you just touched on something. I've been listening to a lot of motivational CDs. I almost said tapes. Do we even still have tapes? But either way. But I've been listening to a lot of motivational, whether it's T.D. Jakes, Steve Harvey, Les Brown, it doesn't matter. But you touched on something that recently I heard Les Brown speak on, and that's the fact of that mindset and that positivity and surrounding yourself with that, because his quote was, the easiest thing he's ever done is make $1 million. The hardest thing he's ever done is convince himself that he was supposed to make $1 million. So, and he hits on the fact of how we constantly always say, I want to do that. I can do that. And as soon as you walk away, you've already spoken into existence.
Right.
But then that negative self-talk said, man, you didn't graduate high school. You didn't graduate college. Why you think you can do it?
Yep.
And so he found himself talking himself out of something that he eventually did. You know, you can't have clients like IBM, AT&T, these mega companies who hired him to be a motivational speaker. And he was still stuck in that mindset where in school he was labeled as unteachable. You know, you're labeled as, or we're going to put you in a special needs class, you know, and all of these labels that everyone else puts on him. But he assisted that by his own negative talk instead of that positive talk, instead of that quiet time with God, you know. And it's a lot of us who will read scripture, quote scripture, and leave church on Sunday pumped up and say, I can do all things through Christ, and then walk right out there and talk yourself right out of that same exact thing. So,
you know, it used to be a saying my dad used to ask us all the time when we make different goals. And, you know, he always made us strive for high goals. I mean, really high. I remember at 16 telling him that I was going to get a BMW. And 16, a BMW. Now,
man, that's a big deal at 16.
And, you know, at 18, I achieved it.
Wow.
When he himself saying, you know, I think that's a little bigger than, you know, you want to tackle right now.
Right.
But I made it my utmost that was what I was going to do.
Right.
And I remember the day that I left to go and get the car, he said to me, you know, I'm going to be here. I don't want you to be disappointed because I have to say I don't think this one's going to work. And I pulled in the driveway with the car.
Wow.
And I remember him saying to me, he said, never answer to a name that God didn't say you were.
Wow.
Whatever God gives you, you answer to that name only. And I remember from that day, setting goals that was unattainable to others.
Right.
Others would say, you're never going to get it. You can't do that. You can't do this. And I did.
Right.
And my kids now are the same way. My daughter went all through school with telling her she wasn't worthy of this and she wasn't that, and, you know, she wanted to be a doctor. And because of her skin tone, she was talked against a lot of things. And I guess that's where I really see the coaching ability take hold, is how I tried to coach my kids through the difficult times. Now she's a senior, a pre-med senior.
Wow.
That's awesome.
You know, Liberty University. So I say that to say that when man gives you a no, look for God to give you a yes.
Absolutely.
Because I don't care what man says, as long as God didn't tell you that,
right,
you don't listen to it.
Don't listen to it.
You don't listen to it.
Yeah, I once again, you know, I'm absolutely vibing with you anyway. From the conversation we had earlier about my own background and my own history working with life coaching. But I wanted to connect with what Arthur said, my co-host, my amazing co-host. Other hand, thank you.
No ring.
Cut my hand off. Am I bleeding? No, I gotta stay serious. I was about to say something very profound. It took me off my game plan.
Serious one.
No, what I was thinking about Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, Bob Proctor. You know, I could go on and on. Neville Goddard. It's a lot of people that I listen to, and I always say that I'm riding an automobile university wherever I'm traveling. That's you know, I go to school, but I think all of that has some roots in Scripture.
Yes. Yes.
So when I think about positivity and that whole mindset, I think a lot of times, especially in America, you know, we are very goal driven. Everything, you know, we our kids, we teach our kids, you're going to get here next, get there next, you're going to college, you're going to do this, that, and other, get, attain, accomplish. Right. So me, when I'm thinking about myself and where I am, and I think a lot of people are, and I'm listening to you, like if I were to say, come and life coach me, Linda. I need you. I probably do. A life coach needs a life coach, right?
Right.
Oh, God, they
so
do.
I'm thinking like at this point, you know, and I think what I learned from you show me with your model, you know, anything's possible.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
I can attain those things. God said, ask and it shall be given.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
So now I'm thinking about developing my way of being, you know, because there's a lot of things you tell yourself, you say you do, and maybe you do it sometimes, but I want to develop a practice that's just my way of life. You know, it's not, goals are, that's just like for me, that's how I'm going to be. I say I'm going to do this? Right. Man, if it's God's will, I'm going to manifest that.
Exactly.
But the peace that I want to be a better human, a better spiritual being, is my way of being.
There you
Can
go.
I practice what I preach, what I
Right.
post? Can I live that? Not just today, but every day.
Right.
You know, and those, I think that's a place where a lot of people have a challenge. Like, you know the word, you apply, like, you know Mountain Dew now.
Yeah.
Is like 54 grams of sugar.
know.
Hello. Like,
Now you got me running from the Mountain
right.
Dews.
Like, I'll give you an example. And I'm getting, can I get a free life coach? On live
You
TV?
sure?
Yeah.
You certainly can.
No, just kidding.
No, you can.
No, so I think, like, when you talk about meditation and prayer, and I may be solely the only person in the universe, but, like, I like to practice prayer in the morning early, you know, all during the
Get
day.
your day
But
started.
I have found myself at times where I'm, like, totally distracted sometimes. You know, I'm praying, I'm like, oh, I got to get up and I got to go get ready to do this at work or whatever. I'm
Right.
like, oh, wait a minute, God, let me get back to talking to you.
Exactly.
So it's not always that I'm not doing, but it's like helping myself to get to that point where I can, or even being loving and extending grace to myself when I can't.
You got to
And
be
not-
selfish.
Yeah.
You have to be selfish, and and that's really what it is. Being selfish enough to know that your time, that quiet time. Me, it's between 5 and 6 every morning. That I know nothing's going on at 5 or 6 in the morning, so I give God that time,
Right.
and I listen to Him. He listens to me, and boy, the days I remember. A day that something was going on and I missed it. I didn't get my time in. My day was miserable.
Wow.
You know, it was just, I mean, everything was happening. It's like my balance was off.
Right.
I just couldn't connect with that peace that I normally get, because believe it or not, the breaking of the morning, the very first newness of the day, is if you can get your peace, that's what takes you all through the day. And many people don't realize that when you get that time, no matter what the chaos is, you've already got the foundation there.
Right.
So nothing can come and hit against that, because you've already put that standard
Right.
Okay.
there. That it may shake you a little bit, but you can go back to what you got that day, the beginning of the morning, when God spoke to you and gave you what He wanted you to do for that day. And the other thing is surrenderance.
Yes.
Surrendering your will for His will. Because when you let self die, you can take on everything that He wants to give. I remember now in a 23-year marriage where I stayed there because I thought that was the right thing to do. But I'm learning God didn't want me there as long as I stayed.
Right.
You know, my kids come in one day and say, Mom, why are you with Dad? You deserve better. My own children.
Wow.
You know, so God dealt in a lot of ways to let me say, Linda, I need you to come back to me.
Right.
Because I'm thinking, okay, I'm just going to do this. This is what God wants. But was I seeking Him for it? No. The moment I realized that, you know what, God, this is bigger than me. I love you. I love this marriage. But I need you to tell me what to do.
Right.
Because I got a husband that's adulterous, kids in the marriage,
Right.
and I'm still trying to hold the marriage
Pull
together.
it all together. Right.
You know, I'm still trying to say, God, I'm forgiving. Because you say, forgive, forgive, forgive. But God says there's a time and a season for everything. My season was up long before I realized it.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
But when I got with Him and gave Him that marriage, you know what He did? He took the love away. The love that keep you.
Yeah. To make you stay.
Once He took the love away, then my focus began on Him. And I could hear clearly,
Wow.
I'm releasing you. So when the divorce came about, I paid nothing for the divorce. It was just a clear, easy out.
Wow.
23 years. And it came like that. But it came when I sought Him and gave Him time to fix the broken pieces.
Right.
Not me. And it didn't happen overnight. There was a process that I had to go through to give him all of my hurts,
Right.
all of my just things that had just bottled up, burdens, you know, garbage that I was carrying. And I had to forgive. And once that took place, it was just like, I love my ex-husband, but I'm not in love with him.
Right.
If I never saw him again in life, it wouldn't bother me.
Right.
And I can bless him because I want him to know who God is
Right.
and have the ability to have a spouse that loves him like I did. You know, I have no regrets because the greatest lessons comes out of our greatest struggles and pains.
Right.
Right.
And see, people think, okay, I'm going to give my life to God and it's going to be a bunch of rosy people. No, get ready for the battle.
Exactly.
You know, because if you're not ready for that battle, he's going to make sure that whatever you're asking him for, whatever you want him to do, he's going to make sure, okay, do you really want it?
Exactly.
You know, look at the children of Egypt when they came out of Israel.
Right.
They did not have it all right then and there.
Right.
Right.
And those that sinned had to wander for 40 years.
In the wilderness. Exactly.
That's us. When you're disobedient, you repeat the test.
Right. Wow.
When you listen and get it, because whatever test you go to, he's already giving you the answers for it.
Right.
Right.
Only thing you got to do is just persevere. And
Right.
that's where people want to give up.
Right.
You know, the persevering process is the tough process.
Right.
Because you're travailing to give birth later to something bigger than what you are.
Right.
Now, if you're willing to do that, great is the reward.
Right. Now that's the and you just reminded me of a conversation we had yesterday, and I was sharing with Linda on the phone that the entire time I was in Atlanta with the post office, that I was at one facility, and the post office, they have, like, let's say if I'm a clerk, a regular worker bee, then if a supervisor is out, I can fill in as the supervisor and get supervisor pay. They do the same thing when you're a supervisor to manager. So I was at one location 3-5 years, a supervisor, but I was acting as a manager. And every time a job came up, I would pray, God, I need this job. I need the money. I need this. Wouldn't get an interview. And I didn't understand. I was like, well, I prayed about it. And then next job come up. Okay, God, oh yeah, I really want this one because I could do this and I could buy this for my daughter. It was always and this is what I can do. So I decided, you know what? The problem is the location. It's where I'm working at. I'm working at the plant, at the processing center. So I need to switch and go out to these smaller post offices. Same thing happened for the year that I was out there. I prayed the same prayer, still acting as a manager, never would get an interview. So at this point, I'm hot. I'm hot with everybody in the post office in Atlanta, as if it's something that they're doing.
Right,
And I've
right.
mentioned before in the show that oftentimes we give the enemy credit for something that God is doing.
Right.
So I was frustrated. I said, I tell you what, I'm going to find me a job. So I applied for everything that opened up in Tennessee, South Carolina, Florida, Alabama. Somebody's going to hire me somewhere. So I get an email from my manager now in Alabama, in Birmingham, and say, you really want to leave Atlanta to come to Birmingham? You know, yes, because I was hot. You know, I was mad. I'm tired. I need a change. You know?
Right.
So he said, well, when can you come for an interview? I said, well, we're leaving on a cruise. My wife and I are leaving on a cruise. I'll tell you what, when I come back from the cruise, he said, I really want to get it done before the cruise. Now, this is like Monday. We leave on Friday. And we're going to like Puerto Rico to stay for a couple of days, then go on a cruise.
Gotcha.
So with this whole build up, and then that self-talk started. Why do you want to leave Atlanta for Birmingham? Are you crazy? Why would you do that? You know, so now I'm talking myself out of it. And then he said, I said, well, I can do a phone interview. He said, well, I really like to have you here in person. So I said, okay. So I go to my current bosses at the time and say, hey, I got an interview in Birmingham. I'll shoot down there and come back. I'll come to work early. I'll work when I get back. They say, no, you can't go. You cannot go. You need to be here. You're just going to have to do that on the telephone. Not thinking that they just don't want me to leave. you know, because they want to keep using me in this whole process. So now I'm torn. I don't know whether to leave or not. So in the shower, I say, God, whatever you wish, your will be done. Now, all these other times, I prayed long, extended prayers. I probably was like deep, had no idea what I was talking about or what I was asking for. But that one simple prayer, I made up my mind. You know what? I'm going to Birmingham tomorrow for the interview. So I went to work early because I had an 18-hour operation. So I went to work from like 6 to 9, 10. Then I told Cheryl, hey, look, meet me at my office, park in my spot, and we're going to drive to Birmingham. So I went and worked 4 hours in the morning, and then I could swing out, do whatever I need to do, and come back. Drove to Birmingham, interviewed, got the job. So now, after they offer me the job, when I come back from the cruise, they offer me the job. Now, I'm like, man, I'm really doing this. So I got to pay to move this stuff. So I called and talked to my boss. He said, oh, no. We're going to give you a relocation package. We're going to pack up the house. We're going to move everything. So every time after I said that your will be done prayer, everything started to fall into place. You know, and it was just like, what? They going to pay to move me? They do stuff like that? So I get to Birmingham. And so now I'm good. I have my quiet time in the morning. I started making excuses like, man, I'm leaving my wife in Atlanta. I'm leaving my grandson. My parents are here. I've been in Atlanta my whole life. And then it was like, new car. So now what's your excuse? It's 2 hours away. So now that excuse was taken away. So long story short, I got there in April of 2015 for one promotion. Then July of 2015, I got another promotion. So I was like, man, this must be where I'm supposed to be because God has me in place. I couldn't even get an interview in Atlanta. I mean, at least let me interview and tell me I bombed the interview. But had that happened, I would still be in that little hamster wheel at the Atlanta post office because I had started to convince myself, oh, it's just meant for me to be a supervisor until I retire. You know, that's what it is for me. I'll start my journey. I'll start my journey after I retire from the post office 30 years from now.
That's an amazing story.
But always remember, he sees what we don't see.
Yes.
The road up ahead, we can't see. He does.
And the fact that that's my first time, I was telling Linda this yesterday, that's my first time that I was submissive and obedient, so to speak, to say that, all right, I'm going to try you this time because it hadn't worked my way, but I'm going to go ahead and try this. And then I get there, and before I even get settled in the position good that I went there for, I got another promotion. So it was like, whoa. That's what's up. So
power
definitely.
Of surrender.
I know.
Obedience. Obedience. That's, I mean, think about your children. When you tell them to do something, do you want them to sacrifice doing what you told them or do what you told them to do out of obedience?
Right. Definitely do what I told you to do.
And I know with me, when my kids do that, it's like something in me that wants to give them.
Right.
You know, I want to show them my appreciation.
Right.
That's what God did in that situation.
Yeah.
You know, that's what he wants all of us to get to a place to do, is just ask him.
Yeah.
You know, what's your will?
Right.
I don't want to mess up because I know if I do what I want to do, I'm going to mess things up.
Yep.
But if I do what you tell me to do and you show me how to do that, you know, even going to him saying, you know what, I want to trust you, but I'm scared.
Right.
You know, just the acknowledgement. Because he knows what's going on with you.
He just wants you to accept it.
And that's why so many people, that same situation that you went through, that you found out, oh, I'm just going to take this opportunity to trust him because what do I have to lose?
Right.
I done tried everything I know. I'm tired.
Right.
Please just show me something. That's faith.
Wow.
Yeah. I think it's, first of all, that's amazing. Didn't know that story. Been with you
really
2.5 years. I don't know how long. Has it been 2 years, somewhere around there?
Carry the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been.
I think just like Linda was saying, obedience, and then what I was also going to mention too, I think surrendering. When you surrender to God's will.
Right.
And then the quote that comes to mind, I say it all the time, and I hear a lot of people say it: change the way you look at things, and the things you look at will change.
Will change, yes.
You know, and I think you just demonstrated the power of that. You know, you shift. The way you look at
And
things.
men have a very hard time
Hard.
trusting God.
Yes.
You know, I've got a 19-year, almost 20-year-old, and he comes to me all the time and say, Mom, how do I trust God through this that I'm going through?
Right.
And I have to go back and tell him, son, that's when your personal relationship comes into play. Because Mom can't take you there. You got to go there on your own.
Exactly.
Now you see so when I think too, change the way you look at things. So when I think about, I'll use my dad. So when I think about my mom has been more of she's very free spirited. Love my mom. Love you, Mom, if you're watching.
Love you, Miss Gloria, if you're watching.
But my dad, when you say like, and they both trust God, but when I think about that, it's like my father has probably, along with my mom, showed me a lot of that. Not necessarily about what he says, but by how he acts.
Right.
And a lot of his actions demonstrate, hey, I'm walking in faith. Hey, I'm trusting God.
got to.
Hey, I got you. And I think me, as a woman, I'm speaking for myself, I think that there are areas in my life that I could grow in that. So I kind
We
of,
all can.
yeah.
We
And, yeah. That, so I see it, but that's only because, and then I'll just wave to him over there. Someone else in my life who is very dear and special to me, the same way. And so when I look at them, I kind of think for myself, I could grow a little more in that area. But I was going to say your testimony, both of your testimonies are very inspiring and aspiring to just like share. I think there's such great depth in sharing testimonies because they help people grow.
People don't do it enough.
Yeah, they
that's-
don't. They don't
that's
tell
it.
their story.
They keep it to themselves.
Don't do it enough. You know, thinking on what you said, I remember before I was blessed to have the kids, my biggest desire was to walk a walk that they would never be ashamed of, or
Right.
could never say to me, Mom, how are you going to tell me to do that when you're doing this?
Right.
That's how I try to be about my life
Absolutely.
and even my practice.
Yeah.
Right.
Is, you know, the things that I send out. I want it to be a reflection of who I really am.
Right.
I don't want anything attached to me that's not authentic and genuine.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, because if I say I love Christ, I want you to see that implemented in my walk. If I never open my mouth, I want you to feel it,
Right.
see it, and then appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Because that's all we have. You know, that's our brand.
Right.
You know, at least that's my brand.
Right.
Yeah.
That I want to be able to, that if Arthur talked to someone about Linda, he can say, you know what? I know she's got a relationship with Christ.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Arthur, how you know that? Oh, man, I know her walk.
Right.
You
That's
know,
right.
I don't want anything else. How I coached, how I parented,
Right.
I did any of that.
Right.
Just that I had that walk.
Yes.
You know,
Right.
that I knew she loved God and I know he loves her. That's all I want.
Right. And the one thing that you've already spoke on earlier, because of that walk, you have to be selective about who you
Exactly.
associate with, who you coach, because it's not worth losing that to find yourself in a situation where
Exactly.
oh, I was connected. I didn't know.
Exactly.
I didn't pay attention to that.
And you know, sometimes when I've even been in situations where I was so trusting, God shielded me and kept me away from things. You know,
Wow.
just pulled me back. That what I was walking into with genuineness,
Yeah.
his discerning spirit
Yes.
took over.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, because we all have a heart when we have a heart of God to want to give.
Right.
Absolutely.
Not everything that we give to is godly.
Right. This is true.
And we have to make sure that we seek him in everything we do.
Right.
Because this person over here could need somewhere to stay, need food, all of that. But does God want you to be the one to do it?
Exactly.
There may be a lesson he's trying to teach that person
Right.
that you interfere in it not only creates a problem for that person, but now it creates one for you.
Right.
Because you got in his way.
Right. That's powerful.
And that's where we got to get everybody needs help. God will be the one to send the help. We just have to make sure, is it us? Is it me that you're sending?
Right.
You know, or do you just want me to pray that person through?
Right.
Do you want me to navigate that person somewhere to where you told me they need to go? Find out what the blessing you are.
Right.
Because you are a blessing, but you got to make sure you're the right blessing.
Right.
That makes me think about you can't be everything to everybody.
So true.
That's what
So
I'm saying.
true.
Everything is
Yep.
rooted in. I was like, you can't be everything to everybody, and you cannot pour from an empty cup.
Ooh,
That's it.
God,
You can't do
no.
it. And I just connect to that in so many ways because a lot of times you'll have people that will want a lot of different things from you. But that's that trust and that faith to say, hey, if you don't get it from me,
Right.
God's going to give it to you.
Right.
I may not be the one for that direct
Right.
connection to give it to you. You know, it could be in different, that's why we all have different gifts.
Exactly.
Everybody got a different one.
Exactly.
And we have to appreciate that and continue. I think God wants to
nurture it.
Cultivate and nurture the
Yep.
gift that you have.
Yeah.
Because woo-wee,
I know.
be a blessing.
I know.
Huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And-
You are one here today. You're just amazing.
I know.
God, that
I
makes me
told
feel
you.
good.
You'll be
Yeah,
all
you-
pumped up.
Yeah, and I'm so disappointed when I saw you. I'm like, you have to understand me. I promise you. I'm getting better. Yeah.
We
Off the
are-
nose.
you
I'm
know
like,
what?
hey, what's going on?
We all are a work in progress.
Yes.
And
Always.
it will never end until we leave here.
Yep.
Right? Exactly.
Never end until we leave here.
Exactly.
You know, that being pulled in all different directions took me back to something. My mom had a stroke in '07, and I was the caretaker. I'm the caretaker for her. And I remember having her, having the kids. At that time, they were 7 and 9.
Oh, wow.
And separated. He in one state, I'm in another, and just all those things going on. And I'm gonna tell you, I know God took my mind because I was so overloaded with, you know, this person needing this, that person needing that. This, you know, it was like I would literally hate to get out of bed in the morning
Right.
because my days were so long and filled with doing everything for
everybody else.
And at the end of the day, I was exhausted.
Yeah.
Right.
And I remember one night crying out in the bathroom, God, you gotta do something for me. You know, I need you.
Right.
And that's why, you know, even in the coaching practice, I wanted to be effective in the areas of my life that I had gone through. Because I cannot talk to you if I haven't walked in your shoes.
Wow.
It is not anything I can say to you that will be meaningful to you if I haven't seen or experienced what you've gone through. Can't do it. I don't want anybody doing it to me, and I try not to do it to anyone. The only way you can be effective to a person in that way is God has to give you something to give to them. And 9 times out of 10, it's confirmation.
Right.
It's not, you know, I get so sick of people trying to do different jobs in counseling or helping people, and you don't know a bit more what they're going through,
Right.
what the outcome of it was, any of that. Volunteers are known for going in and talking to cancer patients. People, if you ain't been through it,
You hadn't
Don't
felt
touch
that
it.
radiation.
don't touch it
You
because
don't
you're
know.
only patronizing those people,
Right.
and you're causing more harm.
Right.
And then you get them with a wall
Exactly.
where they don't want to talk to people that really can help them.
Right. They lose
You know,
trust.
I get sick of that. Even in the church, you got more folk hurting church folk because they ain't got a sense of nothing that
Right.
these people have experienced.
Exactly.
You know, and if you haven't gone through it, you can't talk to it.
Yep.
You just really just talking.
Yeah, but you just reminded me again of a scenario when this was a couple years back, and we had one of like our head deacon kept saying, "Hey, Art, hey, hey, I think it's time. I think for you. No, you don't want me to be a deacon. You have no idea what I'm doing. You know, you just see me coming in here from work in a suit on Tuesday nights for Bible study, and you see me in here on
you
Sunday.
don't want me, huh?
You don't want me. And he just kept on. So my pastor and I was working at the same building. He's federal law enforcement. So he says, I see him in the parking lot. And I rarely would see him, but I just so happened to see him in the parking lot this day. I said, man, I'm so glad I saw you. Look here, Pastor. Can you please tell Deacon Robinson to stop asking me to be a deacon? And he's like, he asking you to be a deacon? I said, yeah, man, look. I'm still dealing with this stolen merchandise. I'm still running the streets. I'm doing this. I named all of this stuff that I was doing. And he stood there so attentive, and he was like, yeah, man, oh, yeah, you doing that? Oh, wow. So I'm thinking he's on my side. So once I got done, I said, so can you please, I don't really want to tell Deacon Rob that, but, you know, we see each other in passing. We work at work, you know. He said, all right. Just think about this before you make that decision. You are exactly the type of person I want on my team.
There you go.
Because what's going to happen when someone comes to you and they dealing with a drug problem, or they've been selling drugs, or they've been arrested, and how did they recover from that? That is the purpose of all of that stuff happening to you. If you were squeaky clean and tell me you never got in any trouble, then I'm going to kind of say, he's probably lying, or I don't want you on my team at all.
Look
but
at
sometimes it takes people to see something in you that you don't see in yourself.
Yeah.
And that was like, I had all of my good stuff, though, all of the reasons why I could not do it.
But that was all
And
the good
he hit
reason
me
why you
right
should.
back. I was like, wow.
Yep.
And I found that in counseling, or now when I pray for somebody or something like that, or you can just feel what they're going through, or you talk to them, I find that I can reach back and pull from those scenarios or those incidents, just like what you said, we're going through the cancer treatment and surviving that, and having that longevity now. It's like, wow, everything
God takes
got
our
through.
ashes and make them into beauties.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nobody can do that but him.
Right.
I mean, think about Moses. I love that story because when you talk about a man that in the worldly sense was, you know, but God took a nobody,
Right.
a murderer, a stutterer, and did the greatest
Did
work.
great things.
I mean, the greatest work. That's why it is so crucial that the testimonies God builds in us, that they become life lessons to share, to cultivate, to motivate, and to demonstrate to other people.
Right.
Because if you have no story to revert back on someone coming through what you went through, there's nothing.
Right.
You don't have anything factual to say, okay, but God did that for them.
Right.
I know if he did that for them, I know he can do it for
I
me.
know he can do it for me.
You know,
Exactly.
if he can heal me and allow me to run on with longevity, do you think he won't do that for you too?
Right.
We have got to start letting people know what we've been through.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
because if we don't, we're going to hell in a handbasket.
Right. And everything we've gone through isn't for us anyway.
No.
It's still so that God gets the glory in the end. And the only way he's going to get the glory is you help somebody else going through it, or they need that pick me up. They need to know that, man, Art did that, you know, or Pastor did that, you know, they're normal, you know, that type of thing, so that they...
Because you wasn't always where you are today.
Exactly.
You
But
know,
as you hinted before, that's the big problem in the church is now everybody is holier than thou, and they're
and
right.
forget
And
where they came from.
Oh, I've never done that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't curse. I've never cursed. Yeah, okay.
It's tough. That's why more people are leaving the church.
Yes, it is.
Now, I was going to, and not me, but I had a conversation with someone before, and they made the mention that when they hear other people's stories and different hardships and traumas they've been through, this person had not experienced a life of that type of hardship and trauma.
Okay.
So when I speak about this, I'm thinking along those lines. I think God still gifts every person with different gifts.
Yes.
So you take somebody who may not have had those types of traumas or hardships, but again, it could be something,
Right.
but not in a level where it's that deep. And,
Right.
But maybe that person has just an innate ability to relate to people.
Communicate.
An
Right.
innate ability for people to talk to them. They're warm. They have a spirit of welcoming me. They have a spirit of listening. So I think about in cases where it may be multiple ways to reach people. And,
Yes.
I only say that because I think about sometimes, because I do believe it's important that you have to tell your story.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then a part of me says, too, tell it, but then also sometimes you don't want to just totally live in it the entire
Right.
time.
No,
Right.
no,
You can't
Right.
do
no,
that because
no.
at some point you could,
No.
like somebody may say, well, I don't relate to that.
Right.
Right.
Or I can't relate to that.
Right.
You know, because you get kids like that. You got this whole bubble of children.
Right.
That's your middle kids. I say the middle kids. And maybe they didn't experience different
Right.
things or whatever.
Right.
Right.
But it's still, I guess what I'm trying to say, I don't know if I'm making my point clear.
You are.
Like,
Oh, yes.
like
You are.
it's, you have, so I take the term, like you have people that are able to engage people with being authentic. They tell
Right.
their story.
Right.
You got people that are able to engage and reach people because maybe there's somebody that has the ability to understand, to listen, to help them see things differently,
Right.
perspective.
Right.
Right.
Not necessarily from their story, but just their innate ability.
Right.
So I kind of, I thought about her as somebody, well, I won't say that, as somebody I know in relationship to that. And they have a gift too.
Right.
So I was
Right.
thinking
Right.
about that
Oh,
too.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can. A good example is, say for instance, you've got friends around you, even family members, that you've gone through some tragic stuff. They've never experienced or came close to that. They can't relate. And oftentimes, when that type of environment holds, you'll start to see people ostracize you. It's not because they don't love you. It's because they can't deal with
Right.
what you're
Right.
going through.
Right.
Right.
So there's a season of separation. We have to be mindful of when to speak and when not to speak.
Yes.
Right.
Because everybody can't digest the meal.
Right.
Right.
You know,
Right.
sometimes we just have to spoon
Everyone
feed.
can't digest
You
the
know,
meal.
spoon feed a little bit at a time. Sometimes you're not going to be able to let them come to the table until down the road somewhere.
Right.
But it's just loving a person where they are.
Right.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that they don't love you. It doesn't mean that they think, you just a person that just going through all the time. No, it just means you just have to love them where they are.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to separate for a season,
Yes.
and then we come back.
Right.
Because that sometimes that person inability to feel what you're feeling
Yeah.
can be a burden.
Yes.
You know, it can be a burden to the point to where you feel, okay, I'm going through this, and she don't call, it's better to separate from that.
Right.
Because you don't need to lose your focus
Right.
Right.
while you're in the midst of that
Right.
storm.
You're
You got a
healing
greater
and
And
caller.
the enemy will use that, oh God.
Yes.
Everything you love, he will use it to compound your mind and overload it with, oh, they do this, they do that, they're not doing this, they're
Yeah.
not doing it. But we have got to learn to love people where they are. And that means sometimes letting them go.
Uh-huh.
You know, my parents used to say all the time that if you love something, let it free.
Right.
If it comes back, it was
comes
yours.
back, exactly.
If it doesn't, you never had it.
Right.
And that's how we got to look at whether it's family, friends, or foe.
Right.
Wow.
Loving them where they are.
Absolutely.
And hopefully it comes back and it's more beneficial of a relationship that you had before. Because sometimes when we separate, not only while we're going through, the other person is going through.
Right.
You know, so that time of abstinence, when they come back, it's like, girl, you know, I didn't know what you were going through, but I went through so-and-so, and ooh,
And now it's that opportunity to connect.
and,
Yeah.
and look at the bond that you build.
Right.
You know, where the enemy wanted to take it to another level, God cultivated and brought it back
For
so
good.
that it could seed and bring about a greater harvest.
Yeah.
That
Life
is
is a
great.
journey.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's all it is.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
and some people are gonna ride the journey with you all the way. You're gonna drop some of the passengers off at each stop. You know,
That
It's
is
just
so
life.
true.
Just life.
So before we get out of here, because we could talk all day,
I love
it doesn't even
love
seem like the time has been flying by.
Yes.
But for our listeners and our viewers, please tell them
Okay.
how they can contact you if they want to talk to you about having a life coach or anything like that. Your
Okay.
Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever.
I am on Facebook. The only thing I got to do is type in Linda Brooks Johnson. My website is LBJ62. I'm sorry, that's not my website. My website is A Time Well Spent at Weebly.com, all lowercases.
Awesome.
My
I
phone
love
number
that.
is 678-471-0185.
You were starting with LBJ something. I was about to say
LBJ620 is my Gmail account. If you want to shoot me an email, let me know what's going on with you. I will be more than happy to give some insight.
Well, I just want to thank you for spending time
Oh,
with
no.
us today.
God has really blessed
I
me with
know.
spending
I
time
feel
with
it.
you, God.
Oh,
Your passion.
yes.
feel it.
And
Oh,
love
well,
it.
thank you.
Exactly.
Then he's doing the work.
Yes.
Exactly. We got to
Working
get
on
you
me.
back on
I
another
love it.
show.
thank you.
Just do a part
I
two.
would love to.
Yep. So we've covered a lot of topics.
Yes.
And I still feel like we have so much more to cover that we could have covered. So most definitely we will have to bring you back again because
And I'll
this
be
was
here.
refreshing.
Yes.
Thank you, Linda.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
So
Thank
with
God.
that,
Do
we
we
will-
want to come back
I
and do
don't
mindful
know.
manners?
We
or-
can do something now if
Oh,
you
you wanna
want
do
to.
it
I'm
now?
good.
And then
I
cut it
don't
off?
even
Okay.
know what's going on. So let's see. What would be your mindful matter
Oh, my week for this week?
for this week, or something that happened, or
Uh.
since we didn't do it in the beginning?
Now you threw me off. I was
I
going
know,
to throw it
man.
to you. I was
I
going to
know.
toss the ball
Bam.
to you.
I don't even know if I have.
I
one
know. He
yet.
just tossed the ball. It's like, huh, cat. I wasn't even ready.
wasn't
I thought we
ready.
was about to take a break and come back. Mindful matter.
Just
this
roll
week,
with it. What is the
um,
spirit telling you?
The spirit is telling me that this is to women. I think as women, we don't do enough of rooting for one another.
Oh,
Yes.
And this came to me this week. I think a lot of times women, and maybe not even intentionally, and men might do it too. I don't know what y'all do over there.
Yeah,
but
we don't know what
I'll
we
speak
do
to-
over there.
speak to the women. I think a lot of times, and not all, but I think sometimes women, sometimes they'll be, some may find themselves in competition.
Yes.
You know, and it may be secret competition. They're,
Right.
they're competing with you or competing with someone, and the other person doesn't even know they're in the competition.
Right.
And I speak to that to say that we're all in this together.
Yep.
You
Right.
know, root for one another, support one another. We're all trying to be better spiritual beings. We're all trying to grow. And it's something to be said that the only competition you have is really with yourself. How
Yes.
can you be better than you were yesterday? That's it. That's the only competition, you know.
word.
I love
Yeah,
that.
no
Good word.
secret competition, you know, because I think Linda's nodding her head with me. I think for a lot of us women out there, if you're secretly competing with us, sometimes we don't even know it's a competition.
Right.
We don't even know it
So
exists.
So
We
occupied
we just
with
like
what
this.
Yes.
I was like, what? Who
Oh.
did what? Huh?
Yes.
I missed
You know?
that.
Yeah. Too much in life. Too much
Yeah.
to do all of that.
Just need to applaud
Yeah.
each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
love it.
that's
I
it.
love it.
Your bottom line, since you threw the ball, boom.
Boom. Now I
Throw
got
the
the
ball
ball
back
back.
at you.
So let's see. My bottom line today, the bottom line is positive self-talk.
Yeah, I
You
like
want to
that.
make sure you deal with and live in
Yes.
positive self-talk.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and it's all we've already been talking about how everything is scripture and it goes back to scripture. The Bible is the absolute best motivational book before you go spend money on everything else. Now there are great motivational books out there, but it's all scripture. It falls back to that. So stop walking around, you know, oh, woe is me, you know, God didn't intend for me to do this, you know. God said the meek will inherit the earth, and all of this other stuff that we come up for excuses. And I'm not saying that isn't true, because it is scripture, but stop making excuses. Like if you're poor or broke, stop saying you broke. Say I'm overcoming a financial difficulty or something. I'm overcoming a cash flow problem. Stop saying something negative, because the power of life and death is in the tongue, and you keep putting that out there and putting it out there, and that's exactly what you're going to get. So don't be surprised if you say, man, whoo, girl, I can't find a good man. Then you wonder why you with a knucklehead, because you keep putting it out there. The same thing with the fellas. We do the same thing. Man, I can't get a good job. Well, if you stop getting fired, or if you do what you're supposed to do on the job that you're on, then you wouldn't have those issues. So stop with the negativity. Figure out something positive. Start your day with some quiet time with God, whether it's reading the Bible, whether you look at something motivational. And I would always make excuses about why I didn't have the quiet time. So I started with 5 minutes, and then it went to 15 minutes, and now I'm probably around 30 minutes. But instead of coming up with excuses not to, I just go pull up a YouTube video, find me a little sermon or something, start it. If it's a topic that I want to hear, while I'm shaving, while I'm brushing my teeth, while I'm in the shower, I'm still getting that time before the rest of the distractions start, because life will happen and work will happen if you're still in the rat race like I am and like Kim is. But positive self-talk.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Stop making excuses.
Master your thinking. Don't let your thinking master you.
Boom. Mic drop moment. Boom. It should have had an explosion after that.
Those are not my words. So,
there you go. You should have took it.
used
They didn't know it wasn't your words. They would have been like, Kim is
no.
profound.
No, they can still think that, but no.
I would have took it.
No.
I would have said, in the words
Those are
of
not
King
mine.
Arthur. In the words
No.
of King Arthur, that's what I would have said.
We know.
I'm working on that part.
Good work.
Exactly.
Well, that's it, right?
That is it. So until we see you guys again, we absolutely love you. Thank you for tuning in. You know how to get in contact with Linda. Please stop making excuses and why you don't need someone, and just reach out to her. Have a dialogue. You may find out that there's more going on there. You have some buttons and things that hadn't been pushed, some things that haven't been uncovered yet.
And her hair color is like, whoo, on fire.
Bam. I remember back in '79, I used to have that hair color. But, you know, I changed it up
I
now.
You
glow
see
in the
these
dark.
teeth? You see these teeth?
I glow in
You better
the
stop
dark.
drinking Mountain Dew.
No, joke.
Did you see? You got show me. I'm like, what? No,
She's like,
Linda.
she glow in the dark.
And I'm like, what? Because I miss it. I'm
She's
always
telling
talking
me,
about your
look,
teeth.
you see these teeth?
You're
You see,
trying to
stop
get me to
drinking
stop
the Mountain
drinking
Dew.
Mountain Dew.
She's still stuck
Yeah.
on that.
Then I hear her talking about glowing in the dark. Like, what the world are they talking about over here? Really?
So,
It's on my head.
so thank you guys so much for tuning in. As you can see, we have fun. We're
Yes.
serious. It's
Yes.
all life. It's Real Talk on Real Talk Radio. And we'll see you next time. Peace out.
The biggest station in the world, playing all of today's hits. You're listening to Instinct Radio.